Welcome to episode 13 of Nexus Now, a Nexus Gaming series podcast bringing you the news, stories, and personalities from the NGS community, as well as the greater Heroes of the Storm universe. Welcome to the show. I'm Murda, joined by my fantastic cohorts here, Jaxster and Ghostdunk, and joining us today, special guest, Woahno. How's everyone doing today?
Good.
I'm having a great day. Yeah.
It's been a while. We took a bit of a hiatus because I had exams. We had the grand finals going on. We wanted to wait until after they were done, make sure that we get all of our feelings out on them. We got a couple patches to go through. I'm excited. I hope you guys are too.
Oh, yeah. I'm super excited to be back sitting here talking about Heroes of the Storm. I'm having a very relaxing Memorial Day weekend. I'm lucky. I know not all of you had Memorial Day off, but I am lucky enough to.
Well, yeah, speaking of that, we have a Canadian on the show with us today. It's Woahno, not necessarily enjoying the summer sun like all of us hopefully are. But how are you doing today, my friend?
I am doing great. Thank you guys so much for having me on the show. I am not enjoying a Memorial Day, but I have Mondays normally off, which is the day we're recording this on. So beautiful sunny day up here in Canada as well.
Works out regardless. Beautiful.
I was going to say, I'm very excited to be talking here. I am talking to you from my new workroom I've set up in the back of my apartment, which is one of the excuses of why I've been kind of distant from the casting scene. Lately in NGS. I'm still surrounded by empty boxes and parcels. I basically put together a brand new streaming rig for myself that I can. I've got a new laptop. I can do Heroes of the Storm cast from it. My video quality is going to be much better. And I've also gotten into speedrunning, so I have myself a CRT television with an original NES. So I'm running games out here, and it's going to be a good time once I get everything fixed up.
Dude,
Very
I love
nice.
it. I love it.
Very
I know
nice.
I've gotten to tune in. I think we talked about it last time, how I got to tune in and check you playing some of that. I definitely want to check out a little bit more. That's awesome. Like I've always wanted just a dedicated gaming room my whole life, and sounds like you got something going on similar to that right there.
I do, and I don't have to shove myself up against my computer desk to fit my green screen into my bedroom. So I have all this room for activities, is what I'm saying.
Well, I mean, enough about us. Let's introduce our special guest, Woahno. Why don't you tell everybody on the podcast who may not be familiar with you, who you are, what you do in NGS, and a bit of what you see as your role being on this podcast today.
Yeah. So Nexus Now, Nexus Edge. What is this? A crossover episode? Sorry, I've been making that joke so many times since Murda asked me to be on this show. I apologize.
Name a more ambitious crossover.
Yeah, I think this
I'll
is
wait.
like, you're saying this is basically the Avengers of the NGS.
This is basically the Avengers of the NGS. Absolutely. So my name is Woahno, guys. For those of you who don't know me, I am a regular panelist on the Nexus Edge, not quite a podcast, I guess, show. It's just a show that we run. As well as that, I am the team captain of Logical Decision out of B West as of last season. I've been in NGS for 2 seasons now, really enjoying my time here. And honestly, not 100% sure why I'm included on this show, because you guys have had some absolutely legendary guests on here. So I just count myself very lucky and very thankful that you guys have me here and consider my opinion and my experience rounded enough to be included with your guys's.
Who better to come on and help us break down the Season 6 Grand Finals, talk a bit about the playoffs? You guys over on Nexus Edge have been talking all season long about it, and it all came to a completion last week. And where do we want to start, guys? Like, do we want to start down with Division D and talk about the Grand Finals there? Boogan Squad versus Frankfurters. We were talking a bit about it pre-show.
Let's do it.
Yeah, no. Yeah, definitely. Division D is always a bit of a, I don't want to say a wild thing, but traditionally in NGS, Division D and previous seasons, Division E have always had the craziest comps, the craziest scenarios, and let me say, like, these finals, they did not disappoint.
So, well, no, we were talking about a Towers of Doom match late game, and it was Frank's Furters ahead, and they only needed one more core shot being sent over to Bugin Squad to end it out. You want to break down kind of how that ended a bit?
Yeah, so I had the absolute pleasure of watching this game live. Frank's Furters took control of the game pretty early. Bugin Squad had a comp that kind of needed to scale up to get effective, running a KTZ. So Frank's Furters got ahead, got some structures down, took a pretty healthy shot advantage till it led to Bugin Squad having 1 health remaining on their core to Frank's Furters, like 21, I believe it was. But that's kind of when Bugin Squad turned it around. Towers of Doom, we all know, has had some absolutely amazing comebacks in HGC and NGS and all sorts of different games. So Frankfurters unfortunately started to have some bad staggered deaths, which led to Bugin Squad being able to turn that around and take some advantages on the map. So they took some structures back, they won a couple altar phases, and it got down to the point where Frankfurters was down to 8 shots left on their court to Bugin Squad still 1. Boss was up, Bugin Squad had the top tower down and sappers pushing in on the core, and there was 1 altar up, which would give Bugin Squad 5 shots. Frankfurters finally rezzed all 5. They made the call to go for a boss play, knowing that all they needed was 1 shot and they probably couldn't get to the altar in time to contest. What they didn't realize was the 5 shots from the altar plus those 3 sappers coming in equaled the 8 total health they had remaining. All they needed to do was clear 1 of the sappers, and I and probably everyone at home was just screaming at them.
I think what it was, and I remember watching this, I think they thought they still had 9 shots, 9 health left on core instead of the 8, but they didn't anticipate that there was a brief time when Bugin Squad got 7 altars, and that got 1 of those single shots on core, and I think they didn't realize that at the time when they made the boss call.
It's,
but I mean, like you said,
definitely
like,
you hate to see it moment though, right? It's that's about the definition of it there.
You know, the KTZ is just like that's the kind of hero he is. And Towers of Doom is honestly one of the best maps to run KTZ on because you can sacrifice those early altars. They don't give overwhelming macro positional advantages to the enemy team. And KTZ can just sit back, get those stacks. He was a bit slow on getting them, but with an Ana late game, you're just able to smash the enemy team. And, you know, they had a Rexar, and I think, what did they have, a Diablo or...
Yeah, they had a Diablo and a Tychus with the ground.
Yeah. And so, like, that is such a meaty front line, and you're not going to be able to put much threat on KTZ late game, and it showed. Yeah. It didn't matter with Frankfurter. I don't think they had enough dive, really, to get to the KTZ.
Yeah. Were they 20 when they went boss?
I think they were.
Yeah, so like that just seems even more alluring because they have so much boss burn at 20.
Mm-hmm. Okay,
also worth mentioning, or sorry, just quick. Frankfurters had Deckard as a healer, so going up into the KTZ, they had really nothing to stop his combos once he was landing them.
Yeah, the whole appeal of Deckard is you kill them before they kill you, and KTZ is probably the best at that. So. How about we move on, because you know we shouldn't spend 40 minutes on each match, but you know, Division C, this was not Ghillie Shark.
Regen Red versus Rush B.
Murda's on top of that. Yeah,
I know that one. Hey, I casted that one. I can give you some notes if you need them.
Yeah, go to squarespace.com/regen to get your free Division title.
It was a hell of a match. Me and Jayzon got the cast it over on twitch.tv/Nexus Gaming series, of course. And yeah, it was fun. It was 3-0. Of course, maybe you find me a biased person because I get to hang out with Regen all the time. But Rush B put up a great fight. They were really fantastic sports. And ultimately, I think Division C was one of the most competitive divisions across the entire season.
Oh, definitely. And I don't remember who I said it to a few days ago, but I remember saying Division C is a weird place because it's not quite the bananasness that Division D is in terms of comps, but it's not quite at the level of where you see traditional rotations and whatnot. It's a mixture of people who are there to have fun, but also those who really want to improve. And so because of that, I feel like it really because it's in the middle, and because you have these amount of people that really do want to improve in their skills as a team. I feel like it does make the competition a lot better. These teams, they want to win, they want to improve, and I think being in the middle and having so many teams at a close range together, MMR wise, makes that competitiveness just shine.
Well, I'd be remiss if I don't spend a moment and kind of give an example of what you just said there. I've gotten to see Regen Red behind the scenes the entire season long, and they really upheld that definition there of building as a team across all those games you play, all those scrims you play. And then you saw it all culminate in the playoffs. They ended up being 9-0 in maps during their playoff run. They came together when it really mattered, and it was, all due to the hard work they put in throughout the entire season.
And if I recall correctly, they were not top of the division going into the playoffs. They were third, I believe?
Second overall, but it was a close tie. They won the tiebreaker with the third place Almost Legends, but it was very close for that spot.
And they dropped some matches in the season, I'm pretty sure. So it really
they lost
does
their
show.
week one. They lost their week 1 match, but ultimately went on to win 15 straight matches to close out the season.
That's impressive. That really is. Well, I mean, anybody else have anything to say on Division C, or we can move up to Division B?
I was really impressed with Regen Red just because I know that they went through a pretty significant rebuild in between seasons. They lost a lot of their players with the HGC announcement and between season 5 and season 6. So seeing them, as Murda said, come together over the season and week after week just improve their play and culminate in that perfect playoff run was really impressive and really fun to watch.
Yeah, definitely. So moving on, Division B. We'll get at it. We have, I think, one. This is the last 3-0. No. Heroic had a 3-0 as well. So Division B. This was Ghillie Shark versus
Virtual Murky Slayers.
Virtual Murky Slayers.
And it was a really good match too. This one was tight, and I'm surprised it ended up the way it did. Honestly, I thought Ghillie Shark was going to end up being the better of the two, but the Virtual Murky Slayers out of the West were strong all season, and they kept it going in the grand finals.
Yeah. This is a bit of a shame because we know Ghillie Shark. We know the players on Ghillie Shark, and they're such great sports about everything. And so it really was heartbreaking to see them. They've worked so hard. I mean, they were in Division C last season, and they've worked up all the way to Division B champions, almost.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, to see Virtual Murky Slayers defeat some of the bigger Division B teams to get to the grand finals shows they're not pushovers, and so Ghillie Shark probably had there was probably a really tough team.
Absolutely. And are Virtual Murky Slayers, are they a new team this season? I'm pretty sure they are, aren't they? Oh,
no,
really?
They've been around at least one season, but they've had some roster changes in the off season as well.
Anything
now they're
specific
grand
about
champs.
the comps? Yeah. Anything specific about the comps that stuck out? I remember seeing Azul, right? There was one game with Azul. I think Ghillie Shark might have pulled that out. It's just it's a unique pick.
They did an Abathur Murky at one point too, I remember, in game 1.
Both of the teams honestly have some pretty out-of-the-box drafting. There's a lot of Zool, a lot of Medivh. The Abathur Murky's kind of crazy. I know Virtual Murky Slayers likes to run Zarya. They like to run a lot of assassins in the offlane instead of bruisers. So they play kind of in what's today's meta, maybe a little non-traditional. And honestly, my kind of analysis or opinion, having played against both those teams in the same division, is I think Ghillie Shark's biggest downfall is that while they have deep hero pools, I don't think their hero pools cover enough of the current meta heroes. So they have to ban away a lot of the strong heroes, but that still leaves a lot of them up in which they don't really feel comfortable picking. So whether they're banning the Zeratul, the Sylvanas, the Diablo, the Nubarak, they have to kind of pick their poison and which one are they going to leave up and give to their opponents because they don't play it.
Yeah, no, definitely. It makes sense. Because I'm looking at the records now, and I see on the Cursed Hollow game, the aforementioned Murky Abathur, and that used to be a quite popular strat. I don't want to call it cheese, but just to have the immense global and macro pressure. But like what you were saying, maybe not keeping up with the meta as tight. Asmodan, that's just if you let Asmo through on that map, and you know that the opponents like have a decent Asmo player, like he is going to smash you. I don't even know if a Murky could hold their own against like a just one of their the demon warriors, the trait, and Asmodan can just Asmodan can just keep up soak that way. So yeah, no, definitely something to look at, see if they can improve for next season.
I mean, I will say though, I don't know where all these good Asmodan players are, other than in this final. So
well, Blizzard keeps nerfing him, so there must be some.
He was pretty good for a while. He was like first ban material in Storm League or whatever Hero League back then. Yeah, I still playing him. You got to be a special something and still be playing Asmodan right now.
Okay, well, we want to move on to Division A. This was we were talking about this before the show. This was Queen's Consorts versus I can only remember one. Dread Pirates. I can only ever remember one of these in each category.
And you keep remembering like the losing side of each one.
What can you say? I'm a romantic for the underdog.
Yeah, Dread Pirates ended up taking this one in 5 games. This was maybe the most exciting set out of the entire grand finale set of games.
Yeah.
Most competitive.
I want to call out the game 5. I'm looking at this. This is on Volskaya Foundry, and it's basically like ultra meta comp versus a very unorthodox Stitches, Kael'thas, Lucio, Zul'jin, Blaze comp. Like, you don't see that.
This Stitches pick comp on Volskaya.
Is it cheese, or is it just they know something that we don't? They know new Lucio, they know new Stitches, they know something that we do not.
I think it's a good comp. I think Zul'jin probably is the biggest sort of weakness of that comp, but then you've got Rexar, and Rexar kind of wants to have Misha out in front all the time. Zul'jin can stack pretty well off of Misha, so really with Zul'jin, it's all about being able to get stacks and not being vulnerable, and just providing that the sort of backline sustained damage is works really well for Zul'jin, and he's going to scale really well in the game. And Volskaya is a game, a map where scaling is super important.
Absolutely. It's kind of the opposite of Towers of Doom, I feel. Like, where on Towers of Doom, maybe you just want to stay back, you just want to play passive, give up a level or two if you know that your power spikes are later. Volskaya is kind of like you need to take take control of the map, because if you don't, like, your enemies are going to outscale you like really quickly if you give up priority.
And I want to shout out my boy Slithering One on Dread Pirates. We almost were able to grab him in a previous NGS season, but his MMR ended up being just slightly too high. And I knew this guy had a big future ahead of him. So congrats winning the Division A. And of course, Division A, big shakeup at the beginning of the tournament when Ferrets mysteriously had to forfeit at the beginning first match.
That was a shame. We never like forfeits in NGS. we want to avoid them as much as possible as the rules allow. But that is unfortunate. Because it's not fair to the viewers. It's not fair to the people who have worked so hard to get to this point in the season, to get to the playoffs, and to just have it forfeit. Like, But we don't blame the teams.
I mean, it was completely fair. Like, in all fairness, like, I think it was totally fine. I feel bummed out for the casters that signed up for the thing. I really apologize to them, and myself too. I'm sad I didn't get to face these teams in Division A. I did want a shot at Nobo because we didn't get to play them earlier in the season. That was that, but I'm glad to see it ended up in such a dramatic and exciting finale.
And congratulations to Dread Pirates becoming the Division A Grand Champions, leaving us guys with just one division left to talk about, and it's the Heroic Division, where we saw Celeb Gaming take it over Abusement Park. Let the discussion ensue.
I don't know. There wasn't for being the most exciting, or not exciting. The most the highest level. Thank you. The highest level of play. It was kind of a bit of a letdown. Celeb Gaming, or they've just been dominant the entire season. They've just been smashing every team that's been put up against them, and I didn't know what I expected, but I don't feel like I'm surprised. They're very good. Met is extremely on point, both with his ADC play and his shot calling.
Yeah,
I thought it would be a little interesting. They did have to play with an off-roster sub, but it turned out that I think the 4-man was just too strong, honestly. And shout out to Abusement Park. They put up a hell of a fight. They picked some very good comps. They picked an Alex Strauss on Infernal Shrines, trying to get whatever competitive edge they can, but just it wasn't enough. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, shout out to them. Like, all those people are really cool, and it's tough putting up with Celeb Gaming. Celeb Gaming, I think, has they're able to get more. I don't want to say experience, but they're able to get more opportunities to play against higher level teams, and that just allows you to open up a whole new realm. It removes a ceiling from you as far as skill level, and I don't know that Abusement Park has that or not, but I know Celeb Gaming definitely has more opportunities for that. So yeah, it's tough.
We've seen Abusement Park knock off Celeb Gaming before. In fact, I think, didn't they do it in the regular season? Yeah. So I was hoping for a bit better of a match out of it, but ultimately, I think based on experience alone, Celeb Gaming just the more experienced team, and you gotta treat them as a favorite every time they're gonna show up in NGS.
Absolutely, yeah. We'll be interested to see what happens next season. I don't know. I imagine Celeb's probably gonna stick around, find a new fifth. We don't know. We're hoping for a much. We talked about this yesterday on the Meat Hall. We're looking for a much better, more robust Heroic League, but that all comes down to players and if we have enough high-level players. So we'll see.
So let's transition the discussion. We talked about our grand champions. I want to talk a bit about the Storm League and how you guys have been doing in your games. And, we've had it now for about 2 months during preseason, another 3 weeks or so until season 1 kicks off. But let's start with our guest. Woahno, any time to get to play Storm League through this preseason, and what are your thoughts on how the change has been from Heroes League and Team League over to this new unified system?
So I was never a huge competitive player, especially before joining NGS. I dabbled in Hero League a little bit, but never a ton, and I was always like high silver, low gold. Since making the jump over to Storm League, after scrims or between scrims, my team and I have been playing a bunch as a 5-stack, and I've also played some solo queue. And I've gotten up to Diamond. I think I'm Diamond 2 right now. So I've heard a lot of things that people obviously are complaining about placements. People are being placed way higher than they should. Some masters are placed way lower than they should to start. So part of me is very happy with my placement, and obviously I've improved tremendously as a player since joining NGS and playing competitive. So I think part of that reflects in my rank, but also there's always that little nagging voice that, oh no, you're just placed too high. You're not having a very good impact. You're just winning because you're playing in a 4 or a 5-stack most of the time. But having I think my win rate is hovering around 70% in Storm League around Diamond 2. So. And that is both solo queue and groups with my team and with friends occasionally. So overall, I've had a pretty positive experience. I know that's obviously not the case with everyone, but queue times are relatively short. Games most of the time feel as balanced as random matching can be. So I think Storm League has been a pretty positive change as far as my experiences go.
Awesome. Yeah, I think Storm League is every bit as exciting and disappointing and frustrating as Hero League used to be. I jumped up an entire rank from gold to plat just on placements alone. So I was also favorably treated by the system, but I have suffered some losses, and I'm sitting on a demotion game. I don't feel like playing, and I haven't been really like, it doesn't feel as important to me anymore to rank up solo. But as it is to play with my team and just, focus on mechanics when I play Heroes of the Storm in order to help my team. And it does feel like with the dynamic queue of any group number of people can party, like the games do feel a little more stompy on either side than they might, especially if I'm playing at like 2 a.m. or something like that. And it's like, how can you ever expect this group of 5 random people to win against this other team? But Hero League was always that frustrating, so it hasn't really changed much. But I do get the feeling, and maybe this is just my own frustration at losing or winning easily, but it does feel a little bit more Wild Westy and stompy and random.
Yeah, I think you hit on it when you were talking about the motivation aspect of it. It's really not as motivating, I feel, anymore. Like with Hero League, for all the flaws that Hero League had, and it had a lot of flaws with misplacements and whatnot, you could generally rely on it in terms of grinding up. The people who got to Master were generally good players. They were players that through their own skill, solo queue, they got up to that level. Maybe they got some help from PRA, maybe they got some favorable placements, but for the most part, you felt that when you went up, it actually meant something. I don't know if the same is true in Storm League, and this is what I worried about when they were originally doing the merge, is that Team League was a fiesta, clown fiesta. The ranks didn't mean anything. And Hero League was like the one place where you could go where it actually meant something. And I don't know if I want to go so far as to say like Storm League does, like the ranks don't mean anything, but I think they're a lot less meaningful. I think that they did not tell the whole truth when they were saying that the rankings were going to be based on your top one and all of the changes that they made so that people wouldn't abuse the system being in multiple groups. I don't think that they were as robust as they should have been. I was a Master 1000 player every season. My MMR was hovering around Master 3000, I think. A lot of times I didn't grind all the way up there, but the PRA would suggest that. And then I played my placement games, Go 8 and 2 and Diamond 2, and I'm just like, I that doesn't really make that much sense until you consider that my Team League ranking was Diamond 3, and if they were just taking an average, then that would probably be where it might end up. So I don't know. I feel like the misplacements were a serious blow to its credibility. It seems like after like 4 years, they still haven't figured out how to place people properly, and that really sucks. But overall, the experience, like actually getting into the games, has been quick. I feel like the games may be a little bit more stompy, but I don't feel like it's as crushing when you lose, if that makes any sense. It's not as demoralizing. That's the opposite side of the coin. You don't feel as rewarding when you win, but it's also not as completely debilitating when you lose. So
yeah,
I don't know. I guess for me, it's the motivation again. It's like it's not as motivating to grind up. But for other people who didn't like the super high pressure stakes of Hero League, like it might be for you, definitely. Especially if you have some friends that you want to play with as well.
Yeah, I think we have to wait until season 1 really to really see how Blizzard's plan is shaking out, because it does seem like they hit the reset button.
Yeah, which is strange because like, and this is kind of the problem in terms of like they, for the longest time they said they don't want to hit the reset button. It's gonna be chaos. But then they kind of half did this last placements.
Yeah, it was a soft reset.
It was a soft reset for the highest levels of play, but then like within a week, people were saying like, no, I'm still placing Master 1000. So like when I placed Diamond 2, I was like, oh, maybe like Diamond 1 is the highest you can place nowadays. It's like, no, people were still placing Master 1000. And it's just like, it doesn't make any sense. They have not explained this very well. They have not made it understandable to the average player, even that high level player, what rankings mean anymore. And I feel like it still does have the problem of both the Hero League problem of the people who play the most games are going to be the highest. It's not necessarily based on skill, and also the people who play in teams of 5 are going to be the ones that win more often than not.
I realized I didn't have my push it talk going last time I tried to jump in, but let me share my experience with you guys.
Go.
So I didn't play a lot of Heroes League when it was out, Hero League. I played mostly Team League, and my highest ranking ever was actually in Hero League. I was a Diamond 5, but I had never placed higher than that. But when we came over to Storm League, I'm now Diamond 4 with placements. So I don't know what happened. I heard it has to do with if you win games early in placements that it really shoots you up, and if you lost those early placement games, it adversely affects your placement. I had won, I think, 3-1, 4-1 to start out, and then ended up 6-4, I think. But yeah, I went up to a higher ranking than I'd ever been. So I don't know. Maybe there was something weird going on with the placements. Maybe not. Ultimately, I guess I'm happy with where I'm placed. But
I'll give this. This is a small silver lining to Storm League. I can now type the letters HL and not have it be ambiguous whether I need Hero League or Heroes Lounge.
That's a positive for sure. So, moving on, what are our sort of our thoughts on the upcoming season 1? We have, you said 3 weeks left of the preseason. Okay, how about what changes do we really feel like they need to make this sustainable if they do want to move this into the sort of situation where it is long-term sustainable, where we can just have season after season. What changes do they need to make, do you think? I think placements, I think they really have to sort that down, and whether that involves just hitting a reset before they set this thing afloat, maybe.
I think I ultimately in the end agree with you, but I will say for me the most important change they need to make is no change. They need to, if they're going with the strategy of this is a preseason, we're going to have a reset, a bigger soft reset than we've ever seen. They need to give it a chance to shake things out, because the more games people play, the more data they have, and they can't just throw away that data that they got in the preseason and then all of a sudden change courses because now everything is out of whack. They need to stick with their guns and hope that the MMR has now evened out. If people are getting Master 1000 that they didn't deserve, or if people are getting, great players are getting placed Plat 4. I definitely have played against pro players that I know are pro players in Plat. So, let's hope that they have risen to where they need to be, and that the people who are too high have dropped to where they need to be, and that they don't rock the boat too much. And in placements, like I said, I think ultimately be smarter about the placements, and, have them matter where they should matter, and have them not matter where they shouldn't.
Well said. Well said. Murda, you have any suggestions to the Blizz dev team? We know they listen.
I think ultimately for me, as long as queue times are good and matches are a coin flip whether you're going to win or not, that's what they need to get. Everything else is, in my opinion, doesn't really matter in the end result for user fun and feeling like it's worth it.
I personally would still love to see the eradication of promotion and demotion games.
Yes.
I know, Ghost, you were talking earlier that you're on a demotion game right now, or you were recently, and it kind of just took away all your motivation to play your next game, because if you win it, great, you're still in your league. If you lose it, then you slide down a league, and that just feels awful. So I know it's been talked about to death almost, but getting rid of those and just having this one long MMR scale or point scale where if you're between this point and this point, you're in this league, I think that would go a long ways to maybe giving players more motivation to continue playing and climbing, instead of hitting your promo game and losing it 6 times in a row, so you're never actually climbing, even though you are winning some.
Yeah, I agree. I like those kind of changes because they're all cosmetic and they're all psychological, and they aren't actually mattering with numbers and facts and things like that. I would even go so far as to say we could just steal the idea of placement, not placement, but like ranking system from League, where you move up points. Oh, you're in Diamond 4, now you move up to Diamond 3, but like the idea that different named ranks, so like gold, plat, diamond, they're all actually different, and moving from one of those up the next is a big deal. And what League makes you do is win like basically I think 2 out of 3 or 3 out of 5.
3 out of 5. 3 out of 5.
Yeah. They make you win 3 out of 5 games to move up, and it's like a little mini tournament for yourself. I think that's a lot of fun, and I think it really makes you. It's a psychological change that makes you feel like you earned it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What do we think in terms of maybe they won't do no changes? They did. We do have a list of what they have promised back 6 months ago at BlizzCon in terms of their idea, their roadmap for rolling in stuff. So just tell me if any of these strike you guys as changes that they really should implement, or like if you think that they will implement it for season 1. So they said that they were going to give solo players the option to choose to only be matched with other solo players. The loss forgiveness system, stacking penalties for leavers, placement games down from 10 to 3, seasonal quests, removing demotion and promotion games, and then MMR visible, and performance-based matchmaking as a educational tool.
I think the only one of those I hate is the checkbox for solo only. Only because no one's going to use it.
Yeah.
Like you check it the first time and then you hit the button. It's like 1600 second wait. And like, well, bye.
Yeah, I don't know about that. Yeah, no one's going to want to use it. You're right.
And the elitists who are doing it because they want to prove they're the best just by themselves solo queuing, you're still going to get the same rank as people playing in 5 stacks, people playing with their friends. So rank isn't going to matter anymore just because you checked a box than it would if you didn't check it. So I think all it's going to do is fracture the player base a little bit more. People are going to get frustrated with wait times, like Ghost said. So I don't see it being a positive.
And those 4-man queue teams are going to have a little bit longer finding that 5th because some people are going to be in a separate queue, which is just ridiculous to me.
I agree with the things. That seems a little bit silly, but I do agree with the sentiment, I guess, of that there is a problem, I think, in Storm League with solo players, and maybe this will lead us into our next topic, which is the patch notes that we've had. And I'm looking at the April 17th one. The first section is party size of enemies will no longer be shown on the match loading screen, and they've removed all party size restrictions during the matchmaking process. What do you guys think about this?
Oh, I mean, like I was gonna say, I was actually gonna go. If we want a spicy take on the player restrictions, I actually think that it's a bad idea for have that checkbox, because I actually believe in Blizzard's ability to judge compositions of teams based on party size as well as MMR.
That's quite bold of you to say, considering they have shown nothing in the past to be able to competently do that.
That actually leads into this, because with the removing the showing the party size, like sometimes it's super obvious, like when everyone has the same first 2 initials of go to a party. But I think that it's they may be trying to prove that it was entirely psychological, that when you saw that 5 stack, everyone's like, oh fudge, we're gonna lose, and like when you don't see that going into that, maybe you don't lose that confidence.
I did like it though, because I'd see, especially with NGS in the community, like, oh hey, those 3 are playing together, and then maybe if I was in a 2 stack, we could all join the next game, so to that sort of thing I'm going to miss from it. But other than that, I think you're right. Psychologically, for players, it's a big deal not having to worry about seeing that 5 stack.
I mean, the ideal solution would be to find a team that is of equal size, if 5-man versus 5-man, all solos versus all solos. And I understand you can't really do that because of queue times. That I imagine queue times are probably getting too long. But is the opposite like really the solution to just like remove people's ability to like judge like how they should be approaching the game, you know? Because I approach a game differently if I know, hey, their bot is all queued together, or their solo is not in comms, so like maybe we can gank them more. I mean, it's just fair because, you know, both teams can't see, but I don't know if I can ever definitively say that you can match a party sizes of different party sizes against each other, like, and apply like a bunch of different dials of like, oh, this team has a lower MMR and this one has like a better comp, or this one has a better record like this season, like, and come up with some Frankenstein monster that makes them equal. It's just like Blizzard has not been able to in the past prove to me that they can at a competent level match teams of similar MMRs with similar MMR ranges. They've proved that they can't do that. So I don't know if I have faith that if they get a 5 stack with 200 lower MMR, like that will 50-50 chance they might win, they might lose. Like, I don't know if I can believe that.
I mean, it's speaking as someone who really has put all their apples into the machine learning basket. Myself, like I believe in the ability for statistics to do that, and I think Blizzard has actually done a decent job of making matches that are even, but not necessarily satisfying,
enjoyable.
Yeah, like, because, like, you know, if you're gonna balance it out on paper, I do believe that, you know, the games with 4 master player and 1 plat player against 4 master players and 1 plat player, I think those are probably even, but it sucks having that person that's not in the same page as everybody else. I would say it's, you know, I think they can do that math, and I think that when you get something like teams that are on comms and always play in NGS, those are a rarer occurrence in general, and that you'd have the same problem teaming those teams up against equal teams of 5. And yeah, I think it's I'm excited. I don't know. I think it was a good idea to remove that, and I think it is mostly psychological.
Okay, well, we'll see. You know, actually, we won't see because Blizzard never makes any of this data. Yeah. You know, able to be said.
On that list you said show MMR. I would love that. That would be fantastic.
Remember, though, they said they weren't going to do that in the AMA. They went back on it. They said JK lols.
Oh, I missed that one.
Yeah.
Did they really? I missed that.
Yeah, no, their question, I'll see if I can post it, was, you know, if you remember 5 months ago, we mentioned that we're definitely going to do visible MMR at the BlizzCon, and like everyone was super excited. Yeah, we had some talks, and a lot of really smart developers said that it wouldn't be a very good idea. So like we're still torn on it. It's like, okay. So
to me, that just says that there's something wrong internally with it, and they don't want to show it because they know about it, and they don't want us to know about it.
That seems a little like tinfoil for me personally.
I'm tinfoil as hell, man. I don't care.
That's fair.
You can call me Mr. Reynolds.
That's why. That's why I want them to show it, because that removes all those, you know, conspiracy. Oh, something's wrong, and they actually don't know what they're doing, and MMR is actually horrible, and etc. Like that would remove all those doubts from people's minds. But my guess is that they're in their internal talks. They've decided, one, they don't care about that vocal. Maybe it's a minority of Heroes of the Storms fans, which honestly I think they should be courting if they want to keep their game afloat. But also they've said like, oh, well, you know, the casual fan, like they're going to see the number, they're not going to know what it's about, and then we're going to have a lot of more complaints about like, why isn't my MNR high enough? I don't know.
Yeah, I almost chalk it up to like the you think you want it, but you don't know what you really want syndrome. Yeah. Almost like the quick match changes, which were a nightmare a couple of months ago, right? Where there's maybe a very loud vocal minority who's asking for a certain change. Blizzard makes it, and then another vocal minority pops up and says, oh no, this is the worst, like change it back to how it was. So maybe they heard this one minority, or however large the group is, that's actually asking for this visible MMR. And initially they're like, yeah, that sounds like a good change. But then after they sit down with the developers and they talk it over, and they realize that maybe this is another quick match scenario where they're not fully thinking through implementing it and the actual reaction that's going to happen from the community. So they decided to just leave it as is for now instead of making the change and then a couple months down the line having it go belly up on them.
Okay, so the mana changes. That's the big thing from this first patch. Is the mana changes? We could read their statement, but that's not fun. Reading isn't fun. Essentially, they're doing a bunch of mana changes to make it so that essentially mana normalizations. So that some talents that were too OP in terms of mana reduction are scaled back, and those heroes that had a bunch of mana issues are getting a little bit of a help. So
yeah, I think my biggest, what tilts me most about this update is the response to it, which is like, this is the biggest Heroes update ever. But it wasn't. It was just like, no, we just made a whole bunch of mana changes across the board, and it was probably work that had been queued up for months from even before BlizzCon.
Yeah, maybe it like included the most heroes within it, but the actual scope of the patch was quite small because almost every, like probably 60% plus of the heroes were just like one single ability or talent mana change.
Yeah, so like again, when planning this episode, like we are going to breeze through this because like if it doesn't affect the hero, like then we're just gonna breeze right past. We can start with Anubrak. He's pretty dominant, and like these changes actually do matter somewhat. They're nerfing his basic attack damage again, and I think they nerfed him again in a later patch as well. Cocoon is got double nerfed. So do we think that this is going to take him out of the meta? We saw that he was pretty dominant over the grand final weekend.
Not out of the meta.
No.
Confirmed.
Yep, I agree. He's just his ability to essentially, he's like Genji but in tank form, of just say, I want that target dead and I'm going to make them dead, is just too strong. I mean, his auto attack damage used to be, I think, like 110 base. It's like it's got nerfed like 30% already, and it's just too strong.
Yeah, I've played a few games against good Anubrak since all these changes went in. He still sucks.
Yeah.
Not sucks, but like it still sucks to play against.
It's the stun. It's the double stun. You know, he's the only hero that has a base kit double stun. You know,
well, not to mention Cocoon.
Yeah, Cocoon.
Yeah,
too.
his ability to turn any fight into a 4v5 in the blink of an eye. Like a good Anubrak can press Cocoon and immediately engage on their target, giving the other team not even a chance to break out the Cocoon, right?
Yeah.
So the double stun, 4 stuns at 20, plus the ability to instantly make a fight unfair in his advantage is just, it's so powerful.
Yep, agree. Moving on. Don't need to talk about Tahaka. How about Imperius? You know, Ghost, have your feelings changed at all on it? Honestly, with this patch, like I kind of have fallen off the Imperius bandwagon just because of that molten armor change on the mana. Like most of these mana changes don't mean anything, but I think this one actually does mean something. That is up a lot, and 75 mana is a lot for someone who already had mana issues. So
yeah, I think I'm falling back a little bit. I used to be really on board. The Imperius is a good tank bandwagon. I think it's a little less versatile in that way. I think it's just narrowing him into a little bit more of a niche, was just a relatively high burst damage for a bruiser hero.
Yep. Anybody else have anything to say about Imperius, or are we gonna move on? We got 3 patches to go through, so I'm like trying to keep us up. Okay. Malthael. I thought we should at least just mention this, that I think it's a silly change. It's not going to affect anything. They buffed, or they nerfed the mana cost later, and it's still like, no. Like they mentioned in the dev comments they don't want to give any like passive mechanics, healing armor, lifesteal. It's just like, well, that's what it kind of needs to be relevant. It's not relevant when you have a cleave, and you can like one-shot people with last rites. So sorry, try again later.
Yeah, I mean, at the most it could give you some like Wraith Strike, like tiny burst combos if you go the percent damage on Wraith Strike, but that's it.
And he's too squishy as it is to pull it off. Like he can't sit in the middle of a team with Tormented Souls going.
I've tried to do it before because it's really fun and satisfying when you really do get it off and you can just spam that Q button. But like a lot of times I'll do a lot of damage, but I will die for it. Like absolutely. You kind of need an Ana, I feel like, to get the cooldown reduction. And in that case, like you can actually make it work. But apart from that, it's just the damage isn't what it used to be. It used to be, remember, it was 2.5% per second. Now it's down to like 1.5 or 1.75. It's like, that's a big nerf. And then they nerfed Q a bunch of times. And then they nerfed all the Q talents a bunch of times. So yeah, it's rough to be a Malthael main.
I think he's a little more interesting now, though, and you'll see.
Oh, he's definitely more interesting than when he was released. Yeah, he was.
Yeah, and you'll see in the later patch they even lowered the Tormented Souls mana cost by, I think like 80%.
It was 80. Yeah, it went from 100 to 20, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a huge reduction in mana, making it so you can use those Wraith Strikes more often and not have to worry about mana being an issue. I don't know. I think it's interesting, and I think with time, maybe it develops into something more than it is now. I don't know if that's going to be something
I'd like to see a cooldown reduction. Maybe put it to like 80 or 60 seconds where Last Rites is, but like I think it used to be 100 seconds. I think they buffed it back to 80. I'd like to see it maybe a little bit better, and then you can use it more freely and not feel horrible about it.
I'd still love just like a touch of armor, just like 5 or 10 armor on it to give him just a little bit more survivability.
What about for every hero that he has under the effect of Wraith Strike, you get 5 armor maybe, or if that's too strong, maybe 4 or 3. You know, that might be it. Rexar, I don't think that changes anything. Varian,
it does actually.
Really?
Yeah, that was actually a big one.
Yeah, playing Rexar a lot. Not only before this change, he was not only dominant in basically every lane, but he could also double soak.
Mm-hmm. So this changes that. I'm sorry, I'm not a Rexar main. I don't.
He still can double soak, but before this change, Easy Prey was 100% the choice every time because it gave him both camp clear and wave clear. They essentially removed the wave clear from Easy Prey because it no longer affected the Misha charge. Yeah. So now with your level 1, you have to decide between do you want to be like a camp, do you want to take mercs, or do you want to be able to double soak? So it actually vastly improved the balance between his level 1s.
Yeah, like he had disgusting wave clear with Misha.
Okay. No, I believe you. Okay. Varian, I don't think this changes anything. High Kings gets knocked down a little bit. Zool. Who goes? I mean, is Q build really the build on Zool? Like, I don't know.
Q build's good.
W's good.
W is great because it's when you play the tank Zool. If you're playing Assassin Zool, it's Q build.
Most of the reasons why you want to take Zool is for that heavy wave clear, bringing them to Infernal Shrines, for example, inside the pit. Having Curse Strikes a little bit cheaper with the mana is going to help, and I don't really see another reason why you want to take Zool. Like, take Zool tank out of your minds, guys. It was a meme.
Urel, I don't think this changes anything, to be honest. You still take Murad's Insight, because she's a soul laner. Why would you give her more healing if she hits multiple people? Like, you know, poor Urel. Like, she got the crap nerfed out of her.
Yeah.
Anna, and then they didn't nerf the crap out of Anna. Like the one here, like if you are not playing Anna as your healer, like you are doing something wrong. Like she is completely busted.
You got to ban her first ban.
And so
I thought the CDR that like the 4 seconds only down to 2 seconds CDR might be a big change. And I played around with the other talents and the newly buffed Night Terrors, and I'm like, you know what? She still feels bad unless she's playing Grenade build. Grenade build just feels so much better still.
Grenade it has everything. It folds your laundry. I mean, why would you not take it? I would prefer they buff all of the W talents and then put them on the same tier so that they have to actually compete against each other. So like, you can build into more healing for your team. You can build into damage reduction or healing mitigation on the enemy team, or you can build for self-sustain for yourself. Like I think that would be a perfect compromise.
The other talents are not bad talents on any other hero. Like 10% max HP on a Sleep Dart's like 16-second cooldown. That's pretty strong. But
and then you can get the CDR as well. You can
Grenade itself is just so strong of an ability baseline that any buffs to it are just broken compared to anything else on the tier.
Yep. Deckard, he's back, baby. He's back. He's finally back with this healing potion. You can play him as we saw over the weekend. He's finally able to be played. You know, his healing is up there. Tragic cooldown is nice as well. The other changes don't really do anything, but he's back. Okay, we can play him. Thank God.
You know, I mean, we don't have to talk about Anduin until we get there, but I think with the way the balance is right now, I don't think there's any bad supports.
There's always Lily.
I can see a spot for all of them. There's even a spot for Lily. There is.
I think Ariel is the weakest right now.
Yeah. Ariel is easily the weakest. I was gonna say like the first thing that comes to mind is
she needs a kit rework though.
Anna is
it's not a numbers tweak with Oriole. It's either too good or it's too bad.
Anna is tier S. Everybody else is tier 2, and Oriole is tier 3.
Yeah, it's basically Anna, not Anna, and Ariel.
Yes. Lucio, just quality of life changes. I don't think this does anything. House Party is a little bit of a nerf, but oh well. Rhaegar, they gave back his untalented version, but at 16 on a talent that you don't take, which is sad. You can take this with an Illidan. It's fun to take this with an Illidan and just dive people.
I've had some fun with it. It's not the same as it used to be though.
It comes online too late for what you want it to do.
Mm-hmm.
And it competes with really strong talents on that tier, especially the 90% root on the totem, and being able to rewind that, it basically gives you like 2 roots.
Yeah. Stukov, I don't think this changes anything. He's probably one of the best sustain healers in the game. And he brings a little bit of CC as well, which is nice.
Yeah.
Uther. This is like a slap in the face to Uther mains. It's like you bring out Anduin, and we'll get into it, but TLDR, Anduin is just like infinitely better Uther, because his mana costs are half of Uther, and he actually does stuff other than just auto people, and he's ranged as well, and so this is kind of a slap in the face. Abathur, what was Abathur's position? Was he really good? Yeah,
Yes.
he was first pick. Yeah, he's still pretty nasty. So just a cooldown, or just taking him down a bit.
Yeah, it reduces his supporting capabilities a tiny bit, and in exchange they gave him some like locust and nest buffs, which don't really matter, but he's still like tier S first pick if you can play him.
Alarak, this doesn't do anything. Butcher, this doesn't do anything. Zeratul doesn't do anything. Asmodan doesn't really do anything, I feel. Chromie, you want to take this, Ghost?
Oh, why did you pick me out for this? I don't know, actually.
You when we did our special pod, you went off on Blessing of the Bronze, and why don't you take all of these changes and how they fit?
I think I have to dial it back on Blessing of the Bronze. I thought it was going to be like super amazing. I thought it was going to be first pick. I thought it was going to change lives. But no, it's Pierce. Level 18's all about Pierce, because it's deadly. If you're playing Chromie, and like that's what you want to do. Like the utility of Blessing of the Bronze is just no substitute for destroying your opponents.
Especially once they nerfed it to an activatable. So, but even before, I don't think it was the go-to talent. So I'll admit I was wrong about that, and the Chromie mains in my life are telling me that this is better than the rework, but not as good as the original. Original. Well, everyone hated the original, so they can go under their rocks and
everyone hated playing against the original, is what you should say.
Yeah, it's just miserable for all 9 other players.
Unless you know how to dodge, and no problem.
Greymane doesn't do anything. Hanzo doesn't do anything. Li Ming, Let's talk about this.
How about now?
No. Let's talk about this for a bit. What the Blizzard?
It's one developer. I guarantee it is one developer.
It is one guy. It is one guy who, when Li Ming was released, this Aetherwalker has been a talent since the very beginning, never removed. Yeah. And it's like, why wasn't it ever removed? It's always been bad. I mean, when Calamity was a thing, like it had its niches, but now it's like, what's your thing? What did someone hurt you? Did someone hurt you when you were young and you said, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna make a useless talent and then continuously buff it and act like that's enough to make Li Ming like relevant again. It's like, what are you thinking?
She's relevant. The Aetherwalker.
Not because of Aetherwalker.
Oh no, for sure. But like when Calamity could hurt non-heroes, that was easily gave her some of the best clear on Battlefield.
Eventually, Aetherwalker is like gonna like press E to win game. That's what it's gonna be. Lunar doesn't do anything. Raynor doesn't do anything. Hammer doesn't do anything. Sylvanas. Yeah,
please
possession.
Don't take possession.
I still, even before this nerf, I think possession wasn't
really
the pick.
Well, everyone was taking it, so I guess they felt like they had to nerf it. Okay.
I mean, the fact that you can get catapults much earlier in games now makes it a little more interesting, but come on. Don't
if you have lost a fort and then like you're going to a objective, like Sylvanas can bribe a catapult, and then like that actually puts some decent push pressure up. But yeah, no, I understand.
I think it puts decent push pressure up, and I think I don't think I get Sylvanas for wave clear. Like if you're missing wave clear from your comp, yeah, you probably need unstable poison. If you're on I don't understand Withering Barrage, but man, possession, like it's not competing against Bunch at level 4, and I like it. I think it can really put pressure on. It's like having an Asmodan if you keep it on cooldown.
Mm-hmm. Okay, moving on to the April 22nd PTR notes. The logout button has been disabled after being matched for match-made games. This is to prevent players from dodging quick matches after checking hero composition. Now, it's nothing big, but if this was a big enough problem, people dropping games after they're being match-made because of the hero composition, if this is a big enough problem to warrant this change, doesn't that say like maybe those hero compositions aren't very good? The hero compositions are bad enough to have people rage quitting. Maybe you should look at that before trying to disable the logout button. Just a thought. Just a thought.
You can't leave.
I mean, to be fair, like, turning off the button does seem easier.
Yeah, than fixing a problem. Yeah.
And it's quick match. How do they even start going about that problem without breaking the queue time again?
Okay, let's do
Thinking.
Anduin. Because we're over an hour so far. Oof. Let's do Anduin. What do you guys think? I mean, he's actually got released. Like, I feel like he was pretty normal. It was like a 4-month wait, and yeah, it was a solid hero. He's got a lot to his kit. He's better Uther. He's just better Uther. There's no reason to take Uther anymore. He's just better Uther. Really?
I do think he is very strong. I think him and Uther do fill different niches in the current meta and what they're supposed to do. But I am all aboard the Anduin train. I've been playing him nonstop since he released. My Storm League win rate is like 80% with him, so
nice.
I am 100% here for Anduin right now.
They finally gave supports a base cleanse, which I was very happy about. So it's just one of them. You just have to play Anduin.
When I play against Anduin and he sucks somebody away that I was about to kill, it's very frustrating.
Yeah,
so
I
it's
was
very
just about
successful.
to say this. Leap of Faith is so much fun, and it hurts when he gets pulled away and it's an enemy, and you're like, man, that was a good Anduin pull. But what a cool talent, and I think it was one of the talents the game needed.
I want every support to be able to do that. That's what I want. Just like to counter garages. Yeah.
It might warrant a nerf.
Yeah, it may be. Yeah, I mean that's the only thing that they can change. Like range and cooldown are like the only two things that they can nerf about it, or maybe a channel time. Yeah, because the range it feels a bit short. If you get thrown over a wall or something, like you got to get pretty close to pull him back.
Anduin, so much of him like revolves around his positioning well for Leap of Faith, positioning well for Divine Star, positioning well to weave in your auto attacks. So I think keeping the range as is, because it's long enough that you can stay safe, but also short enough where you can't just be like ridiculously far away and save people.
Yeah. What do you guys think about his ults? I was conflicted because this is the first time I think in quite some time that like I kind of see like both of his ults being useless at high level. Amazing at lower levels, but kind of useless at high level because like Holy Word Salvation, you're just going to get immediately interrupted. Like that channel time, you're going to get Tychus bombed, you're going to get Diablo charged, it's going to get interrupted. So like I don't see it being viable at a high level. And then like Light Bomb is kind of really doesn't do anything. The shield is nothing. The stun is pretty decent. So if you're doing like a dive comp, Illidan, Greymane, Diablo, it's nice, but the shield is nothing. And so like I feel like his ults are kind of like one of his the weakest parts of his kit.
I'll disagree with the Light Bomb. Let me tell you why Light Bomb's so good, because you can put it on almost any single tank, your initiator, and you're just gonna have that much better of an initiation.
Another stun. Yeah, which is why I think it's probably gonna be the pick to take at high level, but like
it absolutely is. And
Ghost,
like you put it on for example, put it on a new Nubarak, let him burrow charge in, and then when he gets in there, they're already stunned, and you have 3 stuns ready to go. Like that's just so good.
I've actually had the most success on using it with Johanna. where she blessed shields.
She pulls
you put
everybody
it on
in.
her.
Yeah,
she
no,
pulls
it's good.
everyone in. It goes off. You can set up some really nasty wombos with the light bomb on that.
Yeah, it's just not game changing. So
no, but it definitely adds another. It's good for peel. Like you can put it on yourself or a squishy if they're getting dove. It adds a lot to your tank's initiation, where it adds another 1.5 second stuns or whatever. I think it's a very strong heroic when used appropriately. I kind of agree with Holy Word Salvation, where it sees a lot of use in lower levels, but as soon as your opponents are competent enough to save one interrupt for it, it doesn't get a lot of value.
yeah, I mean, Ghost, do you want to make the argument that Salvation is actually decent?
It's great in pubs. No one knows how to stop it.
Yeah. What do we do? They're protected. We have to run.
Yeah,
I think my favorite shutdown for it so far has just been Stitch's Gorge, because you walk right up to him, you eat him, and now he has absolutely nothing to get away. And yeah, that's a dead Anduin.
Tychus will always be my favorite interrupter for like these channeled abilities. So I'm thinking like these high impact in quotes. So like mind control, Reign of Destruction from Gul'dan. It's like they set up these giant channeled combos that's supposed to like destroy the entire enemy team, and then like Tychus just throws a bomb on him. It's like
or even just ATC's face melt.
yeah, just back off. So no, light bomb. You've sold me on it. It's probably better as like it's not a game changing ult. It's a you can get a pick with it kind of stuff. I see it.
Yeah, the better your comms are and the more coordinated your teams are, I think they kind of go inversely, whereas Light Bomb gets better and better and Salvation gets worse and worse.
Worse and worse, yeah. And I think they both have like I think Light Bomb has like a 20% pick rate, but I think they both have like a 50% win rate. He's sitting at, I think, 50% overall. So moving on,
when
last
season
patch.
7 kicks off, we're going to see more Light Bomb than Salvation.
Definitely.
I will guarantee you
Definitely. Yeah. Unless they make a change to it where he's like unstoppable, which would be dumb. So last patch, May 22nd. This was 5 days ago. Anubarak gets hit with another nerf. Not going to change anything, I don't think.
Yes, still meta, but what it does change is my team would occasionally run Anubarak as an off lane, where I would play him, and I think this 4-second cooldown to Beetles, because Legion of Beetles was important in keeping your lane, managing your lane. It's going to be harder to do.
Yeah, I always went Regen Master. I don't, so this won't affect me at all. Blaze getting a little bit of love.
These are so good.
Finally get bunker drop cooldown reduced. It used to be 40 seconds. Remember, it used to be 40 seconds.
Yes.
Up to 80 and then now down to 70.
Maybe NGS teams will start picking bunker again, because all we see nowadays is combustion out of NGS.
Yeah, I tried to get on the combustion bandwagon for a while, but man, bunker's just too good. Like even with the channel time.
Good.
I fell off him as soon as they added the channel. That was just such a buzzkill. That was the biggest disappointment, because it was a direct nerf to high level play where people would be using it to dodge like a Jaina ring, quickly drop the bunker, and then you have barely enough time to recognize it and jump in. And now the channel time is just like, now it's like a sieging tool now.
Yeah, I think I have a solution to that, because I understand why they made the change, because at pro levels they would hop in and out, in and out, in and out. So if you gave it no channel time, but maybe like you can't re-enter bunker for X amount of seconds after leaving it.
Well, they did that.
Yeah, like a debuff.
They did that originally, and they said like you can't just swap in and out. They put like a half-second cooldown. But they put it in like the promo material. They want people to jump in and out, because that's like their ideal form, because you get the armor for like 2 seconds after jumping in and out. They want it to do that. I just think that this was, again, they leapt before looking. They didn't anticipate like just how good a team cleanse that's also an invulnerable can be. So yeah. But yeah, maybe if they limited, like you can only jump in and out like 3 times or like every 3 seconds. Yeah. Yep.
Or maybe just make it similar to like in StarCraft, where only so many units can fit inside. Like maybe limit it to 3 heroes.
BM. That's BM, man. Get the hell out of there, ETC. I need to get in there.
Something else I thought of is maybe when they call down the bunker, there's a space around the bunker where every ally within that space automatically gets into the bunker.
That might be interesting. If so, you could like get right next to An Anduin that's gonna get killed by Jaina. Yeah, no,
that's interesting. And then it's like once you're out, you're out. There is no back in.
Well, no,
except
but
for
like,
Blaze,
there's still the channel.
Except for Blaze.
There's still the channel back in. Like you can get out and back in, but like this would like allow you to make those sweet plays where it's like, oh, there's a Jaina ring. Everybody huddle around Blaze. I'm gonna bunker. Or here's a Maiev Warden's cage. I'm just gonna bunker and everyone's safe.
ETC. Somebody was trying to make like lifesteal a thing. I don't think it is because it seems silly. But Block Party finally getting buffed to 75 after like 2 years of block being at 75. That's decent. Doesn't really. Nothing else. Garrosh, they still don't know what's wrong with him. They gave Body Check the level 7 talent though, so
Yeah, the problem with Garrosh is either you're good at Garrosh or you're not good at Garrosh. So like changing talents and stuff, I don't see as making too much of a difference because it all comes down to skill on the hero.
Garrosh is such a simplistic hero. He's one-dimensional. He's walk up to enemy team, throw enemy, stun, taunt. That's all you do. That's literally all you do. And like occasionally,
and either you can do it or you can't.
Yeah. And occasionally you throw an ally as well. Like he's so simplistic. So like none of his talents like mean anything. Like,
yeah, I mean, but I think body check is important though because you saw people play body check in the pro scene with specifically only for that level 7 talent that reduces healing.
I mean, but it wasn't picked that often.
Yeah, it wasn't, but you still saw. I think it was Fury that did it.
What?
No, it was Ishbu. It was Ishbu.
But you give up Into the Fray, or is Into the Fray on 4 now? No, it's on 7.
On 4.
It's on 7. Yeah. Unstoppable is on 4. So like, if you wanted to take healing reduction, you had to not take Into the Fray. So, sorry.
Which you saw, but you know now that it's wrapped together, I definitely see body check being useful.
That level 1 where it just reduces the cooldown of Q and does a little bit more damage. I mean, it's just nice, but maybe you don't have to take it anymore. Moving on, Johanna. Whoa, you were talking about this. This is actually substantial. I mean, I'm a Johanna fangirl at heart.
Yeah, I think this change is huge for Johanna. The level 1, especially since it was buffed the last time, it was already starting to see a decent amount of play in addition to laws, and they just buffed it again to like absurd levels.
Yeah, I always took it if I was going into like CC.
I took it, period. Like when I was tanking, and if I was on a map that required rotation, what it did was basically your shield, you had unstoppable, either Iron Skin available for every rotation. So you clear the wave, you can use Iron Skin to get out, you mount up, you go to the next lane. Now you've got shield again.
Yeah. No, it's decent. It allows you to trade a lot easier, which is what I appreciated about it.
Mm-hmm. I mean, like, I would actually like criticize teams that didn't get, because the shield bonus increase like stops people from bursting you down, which like good teams would do to Johanna. And like I'd cast these games and I'd be like, man, if you had only had taken hold your ground, you would have survived that.
Okay. Mal'Ganis, these are, just a little bit of a buff. Because they did nerf him a lot. Yeah. I use him in pub games because nobody knows how to focus him and I can get like Blinded's Bad off, but he's too easy to lock down, I feel. Murden. Murda, why don't you walk us through the Murden changes? I've been talking too much. I need a drink.
Yeah, so third win a little stronger, which I don't really think is going to make too much of a difference. Most people taking the Q at 1. I heard there's something bugged with Sledgehammer. I wasn't exactly sure what it was, but it was giving additional stacks every time on your does anyone know what the problem was here? Because I'm so confused still.
If you pick Sledgehammer, when you queued minions, mercs, basically anything that wasn't a hero, you still got a stack. So it was stacking off of literally everything instead of just heroes.
Yeah, so a little bit of a bug there. I'm sure that'll be fixed, but maybe now with the addition that when you hit the enemy heroes, it should be giving you those extra stacks. Sledgehammer becomes a little bit more enticing of a selection at level 4.
Reverberation. That's interesting. Reduces Murden's heroic ability cooldown by 5%. I don't think we've ever seen... We don't see talents like that very often. They reduce the heroic ability cooldown. But then again, why would you take the talent at level 4? Like, you don't get your ult for a 10, so like it's kind of worthless until then. I mean, it still does have the attack
reverberation
speed slow.
Is the one.
Yeah, the attack speed slow. So I mean, it's a niche talent into like Illidan. I don't think this changes you into like taking it and not those circumstances. Like, Stitches, this doesn't do anything to him. It's just quality of life buffs. Imperius, they've changed this level 1 talent like twice already. It's really strange. I think this is just better scaling now.
It's slightly weaker in the early game, but stronger by the late game.
Yeah. So yeah, it's just better scaling. Malthael, this doesn't change anything.
They want the Wraith Strike combo at 16 to be a thing, I think. So
and
you
look at what they did at level 16 mortality, increasing it from 6% to 8% is because they want those Wraith Strikes you're getting with Tormented Souls to feel more impactful.
Yeah, so like let me like think about the math here. So you Wraith Strike in, you cast Tormented Souls, you Wraith Strike again. Tormented Souls lasts 4 seconds, and the cooldown on Wraith Strike is 5. So after it ends, after 4 seconds, you get basically 2 more Wraith Strikes. Oh no, it's really just 1 more, because it's the cooldown's not gonna. It resets the cooldown like as you have 1 second to go. So that's kind of useless.
You're giving up healing though. You're giving up healing at 16. Yeah. And more damage as well. I would wager you do more damage with the reduced cooldown for Q than you would with the 8% max health.
Yeah, but it's 20. That's 24% of somebody's health at the end of Wraith Strike.
But if
at the end of Tormented
if you
Souls.
commit to like 1 target, but I would wager like if you are spending so many materials on one or resources on one person, say like a Diablo, wouldn't it be better to just go Mementi Mori and just get the bonus max health?
Well, you still have die alone if you're only on 1 target, right? But having Tormented Souls up makes that a lot harder to do.
Yeah.
But wouldn't you just go like the better % health talent at 16? The one that applies it to like the entire team?
I mean, I might agree. I actually have to sit down and do the math for that because it's not making sense in my head. But like, if you want to sit there and do 24%, damage to a target, why don't you just go Last Rites?
Yeah.
Also, it almost demands like the nano boost from Ana to be viable and to get the maximum output out of it. Yeah. But at that point, why not just nano boost your Jaina and delete the entire team?
Yeah.
Or like any other mage that's out there.
Yeah. Rag, they're giving Rag some teeth back. I mean, they're essentially just directly reverting earlier nerfs to his health and his base attack damage. I didn't think he was that bad, to be honest. I just think that melee assassins are particularly weak. He's a double lane wave clear boss. If you're on like a Blackheart's Bay, take Ragnaros and just double clear top, and you were unstoppable. So I always take Q build. Don't take any other build. There is no other build. Just Q talents. So I think this is just, I don't know. He's very good. If you're a Ragnaros 1 trick, like this will make it even easier.
How about let's talk about the additional stun time added to Sulfuras Smash with his level 20 upgrade. Any thoughts on that and how it might impact decision making? Especially we see a lot of Lava Wave when people are just wanting to clear lanes with Rag.
You don't play Smash for the stun though. You play it for the damage. The 1400 damage, and at 20, I think he has some of the best 20 talents except for that one. So double Lava Wave gives you a lot of macro control. Heroic difficulty makes you a raid boss essentially, and then Submerge if you don't feel like being a raid boss and you want to play like the Q build and just like go around smacking people with your hammer. Like that is a really good ice block talent to mitigate a lot of damage.
Yeah,
I don't see a place for Flames of Sulfuron.
Yeah, I think there's a number of reasons. So one, you got to look at why did you draft Ragnaros? Like if you just picked him in quick match, I get it. But like, why did you draft Ragnaros? You drafted him for macro support. Like you drafted him so he could become a big fort and stop the Zerg wave. You drafted him before Lava Wave, so that you can
damage at 16 on Q. Yeah.
Yeah, or there's a whole lot of different reasons. But ever since he got nerfed down from his former glory days, you don't draft him to be a damage dealer, which is why you saw people pick Sulfuras Smash. Like he was your bruiser, and he got in there and he did damage and he killed people good. But he doesn't do that so great anymore. And the other thing is that when you cast Sulfuras Smash, that target died. Like it didn't matter that it didn't have as much stun.
Say that here, they don't know there. Rexar getting nerfed again. Right? Scaling change.
It's a sideways, yeah.
how's this work with animal husbandry at 4?
I haven't
8,000
done
health Rexar. Misha.
I haven't done the math on this. Well, it only matters to Misha's health. But I've done the math, and it equals out around level 10. And after level 10, you have more health than you used to. And before, it just lowers Rexar early game, and I can feel it. You know, it's it matters. It doesn't. I don't think it changes Misha's viability.
Yep. Moving on, Anna, it's not enough. needs to be nerfed more.
Yeah.
Anduin, just kind of quality of life changes. We didn't talk too much about the talents, but bold strategy, I think, will always be the pick. I don't think they could do a change that would make it not the pick, because these buffs are just buffs to bold strategy. You don't use Q on cooldown. Like, does anybody here use his Q on cooldown? Like, I don't think you do. And even so, like, a 1 second addition, not that big of a deal.
No, the bold strategy issue is buffing other talents directly buffs bold strategy as well. So you either have to put bold strategy to be such a bad talent by increasing the cooldown or doing whatever that it's unviable, or it's always going to be the pick. So they need to find another way to adjust these talents rather than just buffing and slight nerfing in order to create a better balance between them.
I'll bold statement predictions say that before too long, bold strategy just won't be an option at all at level 1. We'll think of something else to put there.
They'll take it away.
Well, I think what they need to do is provide, like, bold strategy gives you the other two talents at a reduced effectiveness. So whether it's 50%, 75%, whatever number they tune out to be balanced.
Yeah, you're right. That's probably the only way they could do it. The cooldown doesn't seem to change anything.
It's either not enough that bold strategy is still just so good, or it's too much that it's unusable.
Shield buff to light bomb. That'll be nice. I don't think it's enough. I really want that shielding to be meaningful. But again, you play it for the stun. You don't play it for the shield, which kind of defeats the purpose of it being like a healer ult. Anything else you guys want to talk about? Lightwell is garbage. And wait, what? Cooldown increased? Isn't Lightwell garbage?
No, Lightwell actually turned out to be quite good.
Wait. So
the healing ticks are faster than you might think.
My thing was always like, you take Inner Focus and then you take Desperate Plea at 20. So you Q somebody, then you Desperate Plea them, and that puts your Q on a 10-second cooldown, and then you just press Inner Focus to reduce it anyways. So, like,
I almost never played Inner Focus, and I definitely didn't play Desperate Plea.
Desperate Plea.
So
what else? What else is at 20?
Either usually the double yoink. I really like that.
Yeah. What's the upgrade to R? Light bomb.
Light bomb doesn't get an upgrade.
Oh.
It just doesn't have a 20. So if I didn't take the double yoink, I just took the extra damage on autos.
Oh, yeah.
Usually at that point in the game, you're pushing to win, and a little bit extra damage can really mean the difference between killing and core or not. Like, it wasn't super impactful, but I hated the 2-second stun that came with Desperate Plea. Like, I felt like the healing wasn't enough.
It was a pretty good heal, though. It was like 75% of an Ancestral, I felt. Let me look at the hot slogs. You guys can move on to, like, Deckard if you want. I just want to look at the hot slogs for pick rates.
Yeah, I think we talked a bit about Deckard. Not too much difference there. A couple cooldown situations. Karazim, though, he got some fun stuff. He got his level... was level 13 Fist of Fury, now combined with Blazing Fist at level 7. So it makes his E, which is, the fast punches, if you guys know, it does enough that you can almost keep it up 100% of the time in like a wave clear situation.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's a good point about wave clear. What I always thought for this was that it was kind of a gimmicky insight build where you just constantly keep punching things and you get infinite W's.
Ghost, you can't say that. Insight Karazims are real and they can hurt you. Okay? Like, there is a passionate fan base of Karazim players who swear by Insight, and if you say a bad thing about them, they will come after you, and you do not want to be at their ire.
I mean, you know what? I think Insight isn't as memey as people think it is, but it's still, I think gimmick is the perfect word.
Mm-hmm.
There's one other thing too here with Kharazim I want to talk about. Heavenly Zeal, also at level 7. Now, every time you dash in at an ally, your Breath of Heaven will be increased by 50% for 3 seconds. But there's another talent later on, I think it's at level 16, where you get the second cast of Breath of Heaven to echo.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it does that.
Yeah, they do.
It does that echo after 4 seconds.
Okay, so you won't get the benefit.
You won't get it. And I want to see them try to figure out how to make that happen, because I think there's some really good synergy that's missed there.
I think they don't. I think they don't like how much healing Kharazim does. Like, regardless, that's why they've been continuously nerfing his healing ability. I think they like him to be a dive-in support, do all the damage, but I don't like them. Like, you remember when the later stages of HCC, he was picked a lot because his ability to burst down tanks, and they really didn't play him for his heal.
And that's kind of the issue I take with a lot of these changes, is they don't actually do anything to shake up what Kharazim is drafted for or what he's meant to do. And yes, he can get away with playing Insight and playing these maybe less optimal talents, not at the top tiers of gameplay. But when you're drafting him at Heroic Division or Div S or whatever, the top tier of the top tier, people are picking him still for his ability to delete tanks and Insight and the new Blazing Fists and the new Heavenly Zeal. None of those help with what that does. So I like the mana cost changes, but I don't really like the talent changes because they don't really address what Kharazim does or kind of balance that, in my opinion.
Okay, Stukov, not much to talk about, I don't feel.
Yeah.
Zarya, again.
Silence at 20. You gotta talk
level
about
20
that.
looks pretty fun.
It's Entomb, except it's now a little bit more targeted, and you can get your heroes in there to damage them. Whereas previously, if you had a melee hero, it might be kind of weird getting them in there to do damage. Now they can just hop right into Graviton and have some fun.
Zarya Maev, Warden's Cage into Gravity Kills would be fun.
Alarak, Chaos Range getting nerfed because they don't like that it's like the only talent you take there. No. It's they nerfed the negatively charged. Sorry. Chaos Reigns is the one that you played for the Q build, but nobody plays Q build anymore. They play E build, so readjusting. Show of Force. Oh. Yeah. 2% sadism isn't enough. It should be like 4% before it's like usable.
I've been hearing from Ultanian from Regen Retro that he's been loving playing Show of Force, and he thinks it's actually gonna slowly become the way to go. Especially skilled Alarak players able to hit that combo like that. Mm-hmm. It's gonna be a bit of an increase to their damage. So we'll see how it works out, but I think he's onto something.
Yeah.
It feels to me like a pub stomping talent where
that's the hero though. That's Alarak though. He's pub stomper. Yeah.
But in a coordinated competitive setting, like he's way too feast or famine. If you get caught in a bad spot or you get caught in a bad combo, you lose everything. Whereas that's the appeal of the E build, is having a death doesn't reset your damage to basically 0.
Maev, the nerf to E is simply a nerf to her wave clear. It's just too good. So nerf that. I don't think any of the other talents do anything. Zeratul, Cleave got a nerf, but it's still, that's probably the only build you can take on him.
Yeah, I agree, and I think this actually, this could change some calculations as to whether Zeratul is just permaban in competitive.
Yeah, it might bring him down from tier S to like tier 2, tier 1. Yeah,
tier S and a half, or I don't know.
Gul'dan.
This next hero we gotta talk about.
Ignore everything but the Reign of Destruction change because nothing else matters.
Okay. And let's jump right to it. All right, because I played a couple of games with it recently, and I think this might finally be the answer that the talent needed. I don't necessarily think this is the way to go, however.
Okay, I'll tell you what it's for. This is for killing buildings.
Yes, that's what I was going to say.
Yeah, sorry to cut you off there, Murda.
No, yeah, it is. It's like a Hyperion. If you're playing Juice Pirates, now you have another option to bring with you. It could be Gul'dan now.
They'll never bring back the Mage Brawl because this would just be way too strong.
I can also see it having some use, like fringe use on maybe Volskaya or Infernal Shrines, where you have
Zoning.
to control a point and to give some zoning for those last couple percent or those last couple minions. But Horrify
He's already
is
good
so
on Braxis.
strong.
This just makes him better there too.
Okay, so Gul'dan maybe, but Horrify is still really good. Jaina, I don't think this changes anything. They keep nerfing Q
Yeah, well,
build.
the Ice Lance is now a little bit weaker.
I always loved
because
Ice
the
Fury
CDR.
ones, to be honest. I love that talent. It was a
It's
meme,
fun.
but
Like the machine gun Qs are a little bit harder to do now.
Mhm.
You just don't have it quite as fast.
Yeah, it lowers her team fight damage like slightly.
the 13-16 changes are weird. Bringing back like old W build Jaina. So it does pretty substantial damage, and I have cast range increase, and also the radius is increased. Maybe it's decent. Biggest problem is,
yeah, good.
oh no, you can go.
I say Blizzard's just trying to tilt people and not picking Icy Veins.
Yeah.
They're
So you're
trying
on
to
the,
tilt
you're on
Jaina
the Icy Veins one. I mean, I'm with you, Ghost. Like we are soldiers in this battle against the heathens who take the shield talent, who feel like they need to take the shield talent. We call them freaking casuals. We pure chads will go all out with Icy Veins.
I mean, if you feel like you need to shield yourself, either like just I have two words: get good.
Yeah. Play Dark Souls.
I did get to play a bit of Lunara. She's up next in our list here.
Yep.
I did a brawl just yesterday. Got to try out the new Thornwood Vine, and it feels a little bit more impactful. Overall, I think she might see some more play, but she's still kind of, like they say here in the developer comment, middle of the pack. Like, she doesn't have too much that makes her stand out against some of the other heroes in the game, but she's still pretty good in her spot.
There's a lot of Lunar one tricks that just swear by Lunar. Like, oh yeah, I do so much damage. My problem is always like,
Yep.
I'm not denying that you do a lot of damage with Lunar. I'm not denying that she's pretty good and she's really frustrating to play against if you're not well prepared. But the thing is like, a lot of times you'll top damage and your team won't get any kills because she just doesn't have any burst potential. She just does
Finishing
not have
power.
any finishing power. She needs, I mean, maybe pair Lunar with like a Genji or like a Li Ming that can like actually get kills, but then you're like looking at a pretty squishy comp. So like that's always been her problem, is that she can do the damage, it's just she doesn't really have anything else.
Well, I think this is actually going to bring Lunara forward. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I've heard murmurings that a lot of high tier players think she might move to like Div 1, borderline Div S with these changes, and I think the problem that you were stating is somewhat patched up by the buffs to Choking Pollen at level 7. Because that's her. I don't think they're going to go full Q build, but definitely Choking Pollen at 7, because it does allow her some burst in her
Combo.
kit.
She can pair it with some stuns. I mean, that's the big problem with Choking Pollen, is that like if you hit it, boom, it's like 700 damage, but it's a delay and it's hard to hit people. So like maybe it's like with an all-in stun comp, which is
And isn't 7 when you get Splintered Spear? So
Yeah.
you're having to make that decision, Path.
But I believe in it. I was a big fan of Splintered Spear just because it does so much spread pressure and spread damage, and it really puts the strain on the enemy support. But I think she might move into almost like a tank buster, like frontline killer, where you can stack up your 3 stacks of your poison pretty easily and then start chunking them with these Qs. You got Thornwood Vine to keep up the pressure. So I kind of see her as a frontline buster.
I agree with Woahno. I think this is going to have Lunara see a lot more play and coordinated, especially at the top tier. Enigmatic, I bet, is going to be happy about this,
Yeah.
and I'm not sure if he's the one you're talking about, Woahno.
That's who I was going to say.
Yeah. But like just the change to Thornwood Vine alone, I'm looking at that's an almost 10% buff to Thornwood Vine, which is usually the reason why you draft Lunara, is so that you could have someone poking the enemy constantly at a safe distance, because Thornwood Vine has such a huge range, and like you said, wearing out the enemy healer. So you get an Uther, or you get somebody who's like really good at burst healing, or a Medivh comp or something like that, where you're just constantly throwing poison out and getting people low enough to where it's a lot easier to burst them down. I think that this really improves her kit into why high tier players are playing her.
And you're going to see a lot more of her Thornwood Vine upgrade at 20 being selected as well. I think she's one of those heroes that doesn't really have a great pool of level 20 choices. But having that extra range on a talent that already gives you a tremendous amount of range to begin with is just insane. I was poking heroes down from like a full screen away practically with that Thornwood Vine upgrade.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Let's see. Rainer, nothing really. Sylvanas, the quest talent was a little too strong, so this is just kind of trying to bring it back.
Yeah.
Okay.
I will say though, that has nothing to do with the change in the patch notes. But if there's one name, if somebody was coming to Heroes of the Storm today and they hadn't played since like January or BlizzCon, and they're like, "Hey, what's the meta like now?" I would say it's Sylvanas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which would be
Sylvanas is
a
good.
weird thing to say.
Especially in North America. Like,
Yep.
a lot of teams playing it in NGS, a lot of people talking about it, and her numbers have been better. She's winning games, and she feels more fun to play. I think that's the important part for me.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, I think that's everything we have on the list. Murda, do you want to take us out?
Well, hey guys, we have reached the end of episode 13. If you want to support this podcast and Nexus Gaming Series in general, you can become a patron at patreon.com/Heroes Nexus Gaming Series. If there's anything we do right on Nexus now, we get that damn URL right every freaking time. I'm Murda. You can find me over on Twitter at MurdaRG, of course, on Twitch as well, twitch.tv/MurdaRG. Always want to hear from you guys. If you have anything to say, feel free to reach out. Ghostdunk, where can they find you?
They can find me at twitch.tv/Ghostdunk. I'm also on Twitter at Illuminated Wax. You can follow me there. And so, yes, just tune into my Twitch. I'm going to be streaming some more speedrunning. And as soon as NGS starts back up again, I'm going to try and hop back on and use my new studio.
I'm Jaxster37. Twitter.com/Jaxster37. I haven't been really streaming in a while since the team, unfortunately, for UCF we don't really play that much anymore. But my Twitter is there. You can always contact me on Discord. We're always looking for writers. And let me give a special plug to the volunteers tab. So as you all know, we are a volunteer organization. We don't do this for any money whatsoever. We do this because we love the game and we love the community. And so if you feel like you want to be a part of that, send us an application. We'll see where we can fit you in. I believe in the announcement tab and the help tab should have some information and the application, so I'll plug that. But besides that, I think that's it for me.
What about Woahno?
What about me? You can catch me weekly on the Nexus Edge show. We're going to be we've got one more to film for the season, and then we'll be taking a bit of a break in the off season and coming back for season 7. I also tweet occasionally at Woahno Hots on Twitter, and I don't really stream, but I might look to get into starting to stream some of our games and scrims POV for Logical Decision.
Nice.
And
And that's Woahno, WOAHNO.
Yes, WOAHNO. I had no idea when I made the name, but apparently that's a controversial way to spell the word "whoa."
I was going to give you some guff about that. So you've already addressed it.
Hey, and I will say this, Woahno, if you're ever interested in casting, I think you have a lovely voice and would love to have you on one of my streams anytime. Really glad we got to pull you in here for this episode of Nexus Now. A lot of fun getting to break down the Grand Champions, talk about the patch notes, some of our opinions on Storm League.
One last thing, want to give a major shout out to Jason and the work he did on the charity tournament for St. Jude's Hospital. Amazingly, we raised just about $3,000. I think Murda, you can get us the direct numbers, but
$2,908.59.
Holy crap, that's
way
a lot.
More money than anyone could have ever imagined. We were matched by a huge contribution from Celeb Gaming and their owner coming through with a matching donation at the end of the stream. Definitely want to make sure we highlight that and say a huge thank you from NGS, and I'm sure from St. Jude as well, for being able to send all this money over to him.
thanks to them. Thanks to them. Thank you to everyone who donated. Thank you to all of the players that made this happen. I know it was short notice, but Jason did so much work to get it where it was. And honestly, we were all like, oh, this is for a great cause, but I don't know how many people are going to show up. We had a stream, at least 70 people the entire time, got up to like 120 at a certain point. Everyone had a blast. It was so much fun, and it really was for a good cause, and it was such an amazing experience. I think we're gonna be much more willing to do this kind of stuff in the future.
And it's kind of like whose line is it anyway, where the points don't really matter. It ended up with Celeb Gaming winning, but ultimately everyone had a great time. Some big wins early on by Frank's Furters.
Yeah, they pulled out a pretty good streak.
And Newest as well, with a couple upsets of their own. It was a really fun event, a really great time. Even ended with a little bonus ARAM at the end. $2,908.59. That is a lot to be thankful for. But ladies and gentlemen, in the future, if you want to have some of your discussion topics talked about, head on over to the Discord, NGS Discord, and reach out in the podcast feedback channel. Let us know what you want us to talk about. We love your faces, as my friend Philip DeFranco says over on YouTube. That's going to do it for episode 13. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you guys in the Nexus.
And a real quick shout out to Smith, who I'm sure isn't listening, and he's probably off playing Smite somewhere and looking at all those great skins, but I can't help falling in love.